Welcome to Nourish by Spinneys, our award-winning show where we bring you conversations to inspire you to eat well and live well. I'm Devina Divecha.
And I'm Tiffany Eslick. Today, we're continuing our conversation with leading players in the food community, from farmers to foodies and health and well-being experts. It's all about engaging conversations and fresh ideas. Where are we off to today?
So we're back to one of our favorite venues, Atlantis The Royal, and this time we're going to explore Peru with Chef Andreé Núñez from Lamar in Dubai. And, we both tried the amazing new tasting menu, and we both decided that, this has to be on the show.
Absolutely. And I'm so sorry I missed the episode because we were supposed to do that together. I was sick and very badly timed. But I'm glad you could do it.
Yes, no, it was great. I think what I really liked about the entire experience, apart from the food, obviously, was being able to speak to him at such close quarters, sitting on that table in front of him while he showcased the ingredients, the produce, breaking off those chilies and asking you to taste them, giving you a history of, what the ingredients mean or where the dishes are from. I absolutely love that. I think it added to the whole thing.
Absolutely. I've recently come back from Peru and I'm now obsessed with the country and all the ingredients. Yeah, so it was so nice to be there and to talk to him about and see some, because he had that basket of ingredients, see some of my new favorite finds. I like that warmth and the proximity to Chef André. He's so approachable and so knowledgeable. He's worked with Gastón Acurio for many, many years, which is fantastic. And it felt really intimate. I thought there was so much detail that went into that. First of all, it took so long to craft this menu. I know he's been working on it for a long time. And then all the things like the booklets and the boxes that it came, the presentation, it was so well thought out and nothing was gimmicky. And fantastic flavors.
And I think with that, the detail you were mentioning, even all the tableware that was used was created locally. He worked with a local potter, Anisha Rai, who has a studio right here in the UAE. I actually ended up meeting her a couple of weeks ago, quite by coincidence. And she's lovely as well. And, you can see like the artistry that's gone into it with the chef and the artist working together. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with this tableware, we actually got to see some of it in action again during the podcast recording because Chef André plated a tiradito for me on one of the tableware that was created with
so
Anisha.
Jealous that I missed this.
Yes. So which is obviously sliced fish, cooked with charcoal, topped with citrus, really simple, but beautiful flavors, bold flavors, and again, presented wonderfully.
Amazing. And, things like the tiradito and the ceviches, they're so reminiscent of like what happens at the real Lamar.
You've been there.
Yes. I always have to it because it was like
trip
of the year. It's a total party. Like you go and traditionally in Peru, you don't actually eat ceviche like after lunch. Like you can have a long lazy lunch with it, but after 5 p.m. And so our tour guide was like, gringos like you, Tiffany, would eat. I was like, no, I don't eat it after 5 p.m. Because it's using the fresh catches of the day, right? And so it pumps. So we were on a Friday for lunch. It was kind of like this massive, there's a DJ, there's a party, and people are just in there for like 4 to 5 hours, and the food is incredible. So it's so nice that we have a Lamar here as well.
Chef André was actually part of the pre-opening team of the original Lamar, so he brings with him such a wealth of experience, to this outlet in Dubai. And of course, himself, with his career, he's been cooking since he was 14.
Yeah, incredible.
I look at myself at 12, 11 years old watching cooking TV programs all over my holidays from school.
Right.
I spent 3 months doing soccer, basketball as any other kid. I was sitting on my bed just watching El Gourmet channel. At that time, used to have an amazing layout of chefs. And I was sitting there for hours and hours and hours taking notes about what I would do in the future. And by future, I mean the next day. Then I interned myself in the kitchen. At midday, tried to do something. I spoiled everything. Nothing was good enough. But I keep trying, If I can recall that moment where my passion for kitchen has been ignited is seeing myself watching cooking TV shows. Beside that, yes, I come from a family that have an amazing bond within each other through food. Every Sunday, we met in my grandmother's house to enjoy a meal. Over 60 people. I have the blessing to belong to a huge family between aunts, uncles, cousins and so on. So we sit in the huge table, sharing laughs, drinks, meals, and everything was around the beauty of seeing my grandmother cooking. That's it. It was that simple.
You were inspired by your family, you were inspired by, TV, which is, I think, a great entry point for so many people to see, what the world of cooking is like. You've had a lot of amazing experiences after that. So tell me a little bit more about how you got there. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I remember that when I had like 16 years old, one of my aunts opened a small restaurant. Very small, like 20 tables.
Okay.
And I was in that moment where I was close to decide if I want to become a chef or want to do something else.
Okay.
And I spent my summer there just helping her.
At the restaurant, yeah.
At that restaurant.
Okay.
Here's where I learned to prepare my favorite dish. The name is ají de gallina. It's an amazing dish, but that's another story. After that, I enrolled to the Culinary Arts School.
Okay.
And I spent 3 years there. For me, it was like a blink because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
I was having so much fun in this culinary school that at the same time, I start practices. The first year that I entered the culinary star, I started doing my practices in one of the restaurants from Gastón Acurio called Chicha in the city where I born. It was very challenging, of course, because I started at 6 a.m. very early until 10 a.m., then go to classes, go back at 3 p.m. until 7 p.m., go back for working shop at a culinary school, then go back at 9 p.m. and do closing. That was my life every single day, from Monday to Sunday, because
That's
even
intense.
Sunday I was there. But I enjoyed so much that I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And I stay in that restaurant over 4 years and a half. Yes, 4 years and a half that I become a sous chef there. And I win a prize for the best colleague in the year. And they sent me to Astrid Gaston as a prize.
Right.
Yes. And I spent 1 month in Astrid Gaston, but the moment I put a foot in this restaurant, I fall in love with everything. I spoke with the executive chef that at that time was Diego Muñoz. He belonged to the crew of El Bulli, so he was my mentor. And I talked to him. I told him, I don't care which position you will give me. I don't care how much you're going to pay me. I want to come to work with you. That's what I want. And I remember that he sent an email to the owner of the restaurant where I was working and just requesting for me to transfer. And then that's how I arrived to Astrid Gaston.
Okay.
I started as a chef de partie.
Nice.
Chef de partie. And after 2 years, I become the head chef.
Wow.
Yeah. I was very young. I had 23 years old.
That's amazing. Yes. Yeah.
I was very young. I had people under my guidance that was almost double my age.
Right.
We were a crew of nearly 120 chefs, so it was massive.
That is huge, yeah.
The level of responsibility and the hours spent in this restaurant was so intense, but it totally paid back. Here again, I had the chance to win the prize for the best colleague in that restaurant.
I'm sensing a pattern.
I don't know.
A pattern.
I don't like to use this word, but when I'm into something, I become very obsessive. I put my focus at 3,000%, and I will not rest until I finish my goal or achieve my goal.
Yeah.
And I earned this prize. They sent me to El Cel de Recan Roca.
That's amazing.
For a couple of months. This restaurant, again, is another highlight in my career, not because of the level of techniques and level of quality that they were handling, because I had the same in Astrid Gaston. But the sense of family in this restaurant is so strong, so strong. Just a quick example. The restaurant where we used to have our staff meal was the parents' restaurant. So you walk inside and you see Jordi, Joseph Roca eating a sandwich, and then you turn back and you see their mother just slicing some ham.
Right, yeah.
You go, you open the chiller, you take a soda or water, whatever. You sit there, you spend your whole day as a family.
Yeah.
The same during prep, mise en place, and service. So these restaurants stick that to me, this sense of family and a deep connection within your crew. Once I put a foot outside Peru and I see that the world is huge, I have this express. I cannot stay here. I need to travel. I need to experience myself. I fly to Dubai. I got the chance to have a job in Dubai as a chef de partie. Again, I went down a couple of steps, but it doesn't matter.
You wanted the experience.
I wanted the experience so bad with the opening of a hotel called Bab Alcázar from Millennium Corporation. And then I fly to Doha. I moved to Doha for opening a restaurant But in this case, it was a more eclectic concept. We used to apply techniques from different parts of the world, mixing with products from different parts of the world. So it was super fun. I had within my kitchen 19 nationalities.
Wow, yeah, yeah.
So for us, this chance to blend, I don't know, Myanmar with Sri Lanka, then put Peru in a little bit of North Korea was so grateful. You know? So it was amazing. It was super nice. Then I stayed there for 3 years, and then I fly back to Dubai.
Yeah.
And that's how I landed to the opening of Atlantis The Royal.
And I'm guessing with all these amazing experiences you've had, there must be some philosophies or some kind of practices that you absorbed in your time, whether it was in Peru or anywhere else, that you still follow today in your restaurants as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. From Master Gastón, if I have to mention something, I will say the discipline. But not discipline in a sense of being too strict or too square. A discipline within yourself and your own beliefs, your own goals. I learned that your word is your word. You need to be there all the time, support your word all the time, the same as your goals. If you have a goal or a mindset to achieve something, you will have to go until the end of the track. You know, you cannot halfway anything. There was no such a thing. So that's something that I ignited in myself, that this discipline. And of course, the respect of the products and the producers. In Master Gastón, we used to work hand to hand with the producers, the farmers. And we went deep down in understanding how the product works.
Right, yeah.
So once you understand how the product works, your value for this item has been increased drastically.
Yeah.
That's something, these two things, I have it in myself until today, and I will not lose it, never. I can tell you that. And then from El Celler de Can Roca, this sense of family.
Yeah.
That's super important as well. So these two things from El Celler de Can Roca and Master Gastón, I think is one of the most important things that I absorbed from my experience until now.
Yeah, and I think I definitely saw that when I tried the tasting menu in terms of, like you say, the discipline and even like respect for ingredients. I learned so much about the produce, during that tasting. So let's talk about that menu a little bit. I'm pretty sure you said that it took a while for that menu to come together. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that process. You know, what kind of story are you trying to tell to the tasting menu, and what exactly was the process to develop it?
When I leave El Celler de Can Roca, yes, this spark of traveling came to me.
Yeah.
But also, after that, I had the dream to do something with that standard, with that level of technique and precision.
Yeah.
But with something that belongs to my story.
Yeah.
Something that belongs to my own path and my roots and the country where I born and so on. So this dream started there, to create a tasty menu elevated with Peruvian products. That's how it started. And then after many years of experience in different restaurants, as I mentioned before, the restaurant where I used to work in Doha had this combination of several nationalities. Then I thought to myself, okay, I'm immersed in a restaurant with 19 nationalities. However, back in Peru, we have so many influence and so many countries that have influence on gastronomy that it would not be possible not to talk about this, not touch these fibers, not touch base in this process of adaptation and creativity. And that's where this concept came alive.
Okay.
And after that, it was a process of learning history, digging into migrational processes, learning about historical inflection points that happen. Not so pleasant, most of them. But after that, we create an amazing opportunity for developing something else. And then I arrived to Lamar, Dubai, and I found my canvas.
Okay.
The perfect place, the perfect spot, the perfect city. This is a multicultural city, so open for new things that I found the proper space in here. And in a property as Atlantis The Royal that can make anything happen and any dream came true.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the perfect spot.
Yeah.
And then after I met my team and we get to know and get to work together for a couple of years, we started working, and it was a process of 8 months.
Right.
8 months exactly, doing tryouts, tasting 1, 2, 3, 10 times every single dish until we find out that it's the right one, the right balance, the right notes of everything.
Yeah.
And after that, we link it to a different process. Now we need to show this product. We need to show this dream to the corresponding people, directors from
Yeah.
different departments. It was quite funny because the first time that I exposed this tasting, I went around the whole property taking pieces of OS&E from different restaurants.
Okay.
I don't want to use this word, but I kind of like a stole plates from different restaurants, from
Sure they won't
Dinner,
mind.
from Mariana, from Royalty Room, from Cloud 22.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I get inside the warehouse,
Yeah.
the stock house, sorry. And I started to choosing at first what would be useful for me.
Right. Yeah.
It was like a Frankenstein, but it
That's an
worked.
interesting way to put
Then
it. Yeah.
I presented to the Culinary director here in Atlantis The Royal,
Yeah.
and he saw that we were capable of, and he believed in that. Without this trust from him, nothing of this would be happening.
Yeah.
And then we continued the path. Then we met the Department of Marketing and PR that they recreate, and they put a lot of in the design of the menu.
It's stunning, by the way.
It's amazing.
I love it.
It's amazing. I will not get tired of saying this, but our product can be good, yes, but the work that they're doing just to showing and enhancing the whole experience is amazing. It's amazing. I'm very grateful with these two departments because they play a pivotal role in the development, not only of this menu, in the development of the whole restaurant. And that's how this menu came alive.
Yeah. And how did it go? I mean, I'm guessing, of course, it had to be tasted by Gastón himself.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
But everywhere. We fly some chefs from across the globe to the tryouts and tasting of the menu. The brand director tasted as well.
Right, yeah.
So everybody was on top of that. Not with the side of judging what we're doing, but with the pursuit of polishing what can be polished.
Yes.
Get better, everything that is possible to get better. That was our mindset all the time, working in a cohesive way just to make the things work in a better way.
Yeah.
And then we finally, when we have finally the product, then we need to find the perfect OS&E to showcase this.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about that because you collaborated with a local artist, Anisha Rai, whom I actually met her last week. And so when I met her, I said, "You did the Lamar tableware and everything, right?" And she said, "Yes, it was me." And we had a really good conversation because again, I had that I guess context of having had the journey tasting menu with you. So tell me a little bit more about that. That was so personal, I think, even when I saw it, to this menu and to you as well, I think. But yeah, it'd be great to talk a little bit about that.
Anisha is an amazing human being and an amazing artist.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful with her because, yes, the development of the menu and the sourcing of the product was one huge chapter.
Yeah.
But then it was beginning another one. There was the OS&E and the accent pieces. And I came to the workshop of Anisha with a huge cloud in my head, full of products, cultural roots, migrational processes, techniques, a lot of things. So she listened to me over 6 hours.
Wow, okay.
And then at the end, she told me, "Okay, I heard what you want." And she started drawing. And she showed me some drafts of what she was thinking, and she literally captured what I told her.
Wow.
A good example is the oyster OS&E. I told her I want something that represents a shell, but had the spirit of these years that passed by, an old oyster.
Right.
So she plugged in some barnacles inserts in between that. Of course, it totally gives you the insight that these oysters have been so many years there that, it developed this sub-ecosystem. The same with everything. She literally captured everything that I had on my mind, and she plugged in an amazing and beautiful OS&E that is personalized thinking in every single dish. Even though the first step of the menu, this wooden suitcase, And that's how we start the menu as well. Every journey begins with a suitcase loaded of different things. In this case, it's loaded of adaptation, creativity, belief, and dreams.
There are some ingredients on here and in the restaurant that maybe you wouldn't necessarily find in Dubai. We mentioned lucuma just before we started recording. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What ingredients are perhaps newer to Dubai, like, what people would be introduced to for the first time here, perhaps? Why are you so excited about some of them?
Not everybody will take the risk and will expose themselves to bring this kind of items to Dubai. Most of them, I just met him when I had 23 years old and I moved to the capital.
Sure.
Like mashuas, for instance. This product grows only in Ayacucho, in part of the Andes of Peru, and can be harvested just 2 months in the year.
Wow.
It's so particular, not only because of the flavor, because of the texture, the aroma, how it's being harvested, the production process, how the producers put so much effort just to grow up this item. It's very important for me.
Yeah.
Then if we move to a different region, we can jump into the Amazons. We have products like the coconut, looks like a persimmon, but have nothing to do with a persimmon.
Right.
Have a big essence of acidity. Actually, it's one of the biggest, the products that has the biggest content of vitamin C.
Okay.
It's an amazing item. Then we have sacha tomate, which is a tomato that grows on the tree.
Yes.
We have the peppers. We have so many endemic items here in this menu that I have the lucky and the blessing to meet a supplier that have the same goal as we have in the restaurant, that bring a whole piece of Peru as it should be, endemic, wild, true to themselves, to Dubai. Most of them are not even able to be found in every single city in Peru. And having here in Dubai, it's amazing. It's magical. Yes.
And how has the response been from people, once they're trying these ingredients that obviously then maybe if they haven't traveled to Peru yet, they haven't tasted before? How has that been for you to see how they've reacted to it as well?
At first sight, I see curiosity.
Yeah.
Because are shown in a display here once we are setting up the menu. So everybody's watching, what kind of thing is this?
Yeah.
What product is that? Can be this, can be that. And part of the process of the menu is just breaking some chilies, share the aroma of the chili. They are so particular. Cutting some fruits, just tasting the fruit as it is in the raw version. So this curiosity is immediately transformed to an amazing reaction. They're amazed for what they are tasting.
Yeah.
Because as you said, most of them have never been seen in this part of the globe.
Sure, yeah.
So for me, it's very gratificant to see this reaction from the people from a perspective of me sharing something that is so deep down connected to myself.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Are there any dishes, now that you mentioned that, are there any dishes on this particular menu that have a lot of like personal memories for you as well?
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Definitely. For instance, in the first part of the menu, there is one snack, which is a nigiri. And for me, this one is very important because the first time I tasted a nigiri was when I had 23 years old. This mixture between the elegance and the technique from Japanese culture with the flavor and the power and strength of Peruvian items. Discovering this for me was stunning. It opened a completely different chapter of my culinary arts school career. Then the mashuas dish as well is very important because at that time, not even in the capital, we were able to find these products.
Right.
After 1 year working in Astrid Gastón, we had the chance to meet one of the producers in Ayacucho, and we traveled there.
Right.
It was an 11 hours travel from a not so pleasant geography.
Okay.
We had a temperature of minus 15 degrees at that time. It was super cold, but the sun was so high, like here in Dubai. It was a bright day. They teach us how to harvest this product.
Wow, yeah.
So how to put your hands deep down there and be careful enough not to destroy this product, but just put it out.
Yeah.
And find this item that the look that they have is very unusual. the shape that this has, the color that this has, break it down, smell at the first sight, just give a taste in the raw version.
Yeah.
Again, it opened my eyes to something completely different. And after that, it came a process of researching. Okay, yes, if I found out this product in here, what else can I find?
Yeah.
What else is hidden there in this same city?
Yeah.
And I started on that. And as I mentioned, was a completely different chapter of my life to start to develop this pursuit of different items, different products, and endemic ingredients. These two dishes, I would say, they are the most representative for me as a part of career development.
One of the things you just said around, that mix of Japanese influence with the Peruvian cuisine and culture, there's obviously been a lot of different cuisines, or maybe sub-cuisines, if you like to call it, that have emerged because of, migration. So the melding with Chinese, with Japanese, Africans. So what do you think it is about Peruvian culture and cuisine, that it was able to adapt to these different influences and create these beautiful new, cuisines and dishes through that migration process?
Peru is a country that is that naturally welcome everyone else. And it welcomes different nationalities in such an organic way that immediately once we met somebody else, we want to hug him, we want to protect him, we want to embrace him. And this happened all over the years, embracing differences, embracing different habits from people that came from far away, like the immigration of Chinese people.
Yeah.
And being blessed with a land so rich in terms of ingredients, I think recreate the perfect scenario for this development of subcultures, we want to call it that way, until the point that it became Peruvian. Now it's not, we don't see it like Nikkei cuisine is a subculture of Peruvian domains, is part of us. We ignite with them so strong and so deep down. The bond that we have with this cultural migration was so strong that it became Peruvian. It's not like, it's not a different appendix. It's not a different chapter of us. It's the same. The same happened with bachiche culture, the mixture of Italian and Peruvian habits and roots.
Yeah.
The same happened with the African heritage that we have, so strong and so deep down connected to our story after Spanish conquered Peru and how we have the independence and so on. And as I said, Peru is a land that we naturally welcome everybody, and we have the perfect canvas and the perfect biodiversity to welcome everyone else with different habits and different ways of perceiving life through gastronomy, arts, and so on.
And as someone then who's obviously, championing Peruvian cuisine and sharing, the culture, the history, even because, even when we sat down here, we were talking so much about like history and culture of the country, not just food. What is it that you're hoping that people who dine here at Lamar kind of go away with? What experience do you want them to have, or what learning do you want them to take away with them?
I want that they walk away from this restaurant getting to know more from Peru. That's it. That's my biggest goal. Because yes, once you hear the word Peruvian cuisine or Peru, at first sight you relate it to ceviches, tiraditos, and Nikkei cuisine.
Sure.
But that's it. That's where everything stops. But here we show all of our guests that we have so many other layers in our culture that for me is a big responsibility, because sharing this identity that not only belongs to me, it belongs to another 30 million people very far from here. It's a huge responsibility. But at the same time, it gives me so much joy just to see people leaving the restaurant, leaving this tabletop, knowing a little bit more about bachiche, chifa, our African heritage, our Spanish heritage. And I can see they are completely wowed about what they taste, what they heard, what they learn. This is a space for us to share, not only share experience through food, share experience through learning, a learning process as well.
That is really lovely. And I do want to ask you a question that we ask all our guests on the podcast. And that is, what is it that nourishes your soul?
What a Great question. What did nurture my soul? I think the chance and the ability to create connections. Connections very organic through a conversation, through a meal. In my case, as a chef, the blessing that I have to put a food on the table of somebody and share a big piece of me through an ingredients combined in a different way and see the reaction. This connection, it literally brights my life and brights my soul, as you mentioned. I think it's about connection and sharing passion through every single aspect of my life. In this case, in the restaurant, through the food and delivering experience to the guests. That smile capture after tasting one dish, that's all about.
I love that. And I believe there's something you're going to show us today or plate for us today.
We're going to take the opportunity to show one of the dishes from the tasting menu. This is a tiradito, a sliced fish that capture the essence of this blending between Japan and Peru, this Nikkei cuisine that is very famous nowadays in a very elegant way. And this is a beautiful example of dish because it mixes the elegance and tradition of techniques from Japan with all the power and all the essence of Peruvian ingredients. What we have in here is a fish that has been treated as a robata. Put in contact the skin of the fish with charcoal.
Okay.
So we create a layer of flavor in here and some toast notes that will blend perfectly with ají amarillo and kumquat that are prepared as a leche de tigre. Also, we have leche de tigre with rocoto, a pepper endemic from Peru, that have been slightly jellified, just enough to, when we pour the sauce, this mix in a beautiful single sauce. Then we have purple shiso, lime basil, and coriander sprout. These coriander sprout are very particular because we let it grow 27 days for us to develop the right balancing between flavor and aroma.
That's very specific, 27 days.
27 days. Cannot be more, cannot be less. It's very important. It's super, super important. It makes a difference. And you realize you will identify it because you have the two leaves and one single strong leaf in the middle. That's the one that will give the flavor and the other two are the ones that will give the aroma.
Got it.
And this is the leche de tigre. We add on some green shiso oil just to enhance the freshness.
So for people who may not know what this sauce is, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
The base of leche de tigre concentrates all the heart and soul of a ceviche. It uses the same ingredients as a regular ceviche, but we blend it. We put ginger, garlic, chili, lime juice, and fish. Everything blended and strained. It has all the essence of the ceviche. Now, starting from that base, we can take it as a white canvas. In this case, we put kumquat confit and ají amarillo. The addition of the green shiso has a very strong important role because as having very edgy flavors, we have acidity from the lime juice, we have a spiciness from the chilies, we have this smoky touch in the skin. Then we have umeboshi gel that will bring the saltiness to the roof.
That's what you added in the beginning.
And then the sweetness coming from the kumquat. We need something that tied up everything in one single beautiful harmony. And this is where the shiso has a very strong role. This freshness will trap all these single flavors in one beautiful synergy. And that's the dish.
That's it.
And even by watching, it's very delicate, very elegant, absorbing all these Japanese techniques. But the flavor is so strong and so well balanced that bring us to the Peruvian side of this dish and on all this recreation.
And I mean, it's fascinating because you've plated it, but there's, so many different ingredients and, even the coriander, 27 days, there's so many particular items you have to take care of. And I imagine that's the way across the whole menu as well,
Even we use two different kinds of chili in this one. We use this one, ají amarillo. This is more sweet. More, it gives texture to the sauce, to the leche de tigre. And this one is very fragrant. The aroma of this chili is
oh wow,
I always say that the aroma for this, or the best word to describe this aroma is sexy, like the truffle.
Yeah, it's quite.
It's not sweet, it's not salty, it's a completely different. Just embrace you in a nice hug, on your tongue, in your senses. That's the chili. You don't feel the spiciness. You feel this elegance in aroma. So that's the flavor. That's the dish.
Amazing. Thank you so much.